So, when tape recorders were invented in the 1940s, artists started to record and manipulate a range of sounds. So, I would like to introduce you to John Cage. I'm sure you've heard of his famous piece 4 minutes and 33 seconds. So, we'll look at that piece, but we'll also look at his imaginary landscape work that I think relates to your first project, Sounding Objects and what did I call it? Fictional landscapes, I think, or fictional soundscapes. So John Cage is an American artist and composer, passed away in 1992. He was a pioneer of indeterminacy in music. He's best known for his 1952 composition piece, 4 minutes and 33 seconds, which is performed in the absence of deliberate sound. And the content of the composition is not 4 minutes and 33 seconds of silence, as is often presumed, but rather highlights the sounds of the environment heard by the audience during the performance. And the work challenges definitions of what can be perceived as music or musical experience. So before we dive into that piece, I want to play a short video of John Cage talking about sound and silence.
When I hear what we call music, it seems to me that someone is talking, and talking about his feelings or about his ideas of relationships. But when I hear traffic, the sound of traffic here on 6th Avenue, for instance, I don't have the feeling that anyone is talking. I have the feeling that sound is acting. And I love the activity of sound. What it does is it gets louder and quieter, and it gets higher and lower, and it gets longer and shorter. It does all those things which I'm completely satisfied with that. I don't need sound to talk to me.
Before we talk about 4 minutes and 33 seconds, I wanted to point to what John Cage was really inspired by, which is Robert Rauschenberg's white paintings from 1951 that he made at Black Mountain College. And when looking at these paintings, John Cage was really interested, not the fact that these were white paintings, but the fact that these white paintings, in their blankness, in their whiteness, reflected, the dust in the room, viewer shadows. So they really were a kind of mirror of experience, a mirror of what was happening in the room. And so when John Cage made his piece, 4 minutes and 33 seconds, it was really not about the piece itself, but about the work creating a situation where viewers could reflect on that present moment. So in 1952, this work was performed at the Maverick Concert Hall in Woodstock, about 2 hours outside of New York. And the concert hall in which it was played was kind of like this old barn/church space. And so, you can imagine it's made of like wood and beams, and it's quite rickety. And then for the second work, Tudor stops and then sits down in front of the piano. And this is the piece that would become 4 minutes and 33 seconds. And then just closes the lid. And then he begins a performance that he doesn't play. It's just the timer that's kind of going by. And then after 30 seconds of silence, he resets the stopwatch and times another 2 minutes and 23 seconds of silence, and then another 1 minute and 40 seconds of silence.
The material of music is sound and silence. Integrating these is composing. I have nothing to say, and I am saying it.
The next work I want to show is John Cage's Imaginary Landscape, which is an earlier work from 1939. It's part of a series of 5 pieces which include instruments or other elements requiring electricity, and it contains 2 variable turntables, frequency recordings, and muted piano and cymbals. Okay, so I'll play 1 minute of Imaginary Landscape. So in Imaginary Landscape, John Cage is combining a number of different sounds to create a new imagined space that where the sounds are kind of divorced from their object, and we are to then imagine a new space in which they might emerge. So now you can go to the next video, which is part 3 of this lecture.